I know y'all are excited to get your dog on leash and begin training, but bear with us while we go through our canine orientation. I promise you are not going to want to miss this information. It's extremely valuable and it's going to help you throughout your training process. We're going to hop into the orientation of canine fundamentals. Hopefully you were able to access a printer so you can follow along. If not, it's no big deal. It's there for you to review at any time. So the basic breakdown of dogs. They are territorial, hypersocial, masters of manipulation, result-driven creatures, and they anticipate everything. Now, not every single dog is going to be as territorial as the last. Some are going to develop resource guarding much easier than others. Some are not going to care if you take a bone straight from their mouth. It really depends on the dog. But rest assured, every single dog has some level of territorial behavior. Dogs are very social creatures. They are pack animals. This will allow you to use pack time with you, family, other dogs in the household as a reward, but you can also use it as a punishment by isolating them. They are masters of manipulation. That doesn't mean your dog is going to call you up and see if they can weasel your social security number out of you. This really refers more to the next bullet of being result-driven creatures. Dogs focus on two things in life: doing what brings them pleasure and being as comfortable as possible. So the behaviors that they display that achieve these goals for them are likely to be repeated in the future. Behaviors that lead to a result that goes against these goals are going to be decreased in the future. How often does a dog come up to you and nudge you with their nose to get a couple neck scratches? They're doing this because it often works. It brings them the result they desire. Another example would be teaching your dog the paw command. We see this all the time with clients. So when you're interacting with that dog, they often just keep offering the paw. This can often make it difficult to work with these dogs because they're so focused on poking you with their paw, because that has brought them some pets or a treat or some sort of positive reward many times in the past. The same goes for the opposite. If a behavior they're displaying doesn't bring them any result, or a result they don't want at all, that behavior will decrease. They anticipate everything. They are excellent at recognizing patterns in behavior, and they are always ready to move to the next step in these patterns. An example: your dog understands where their leash is, whether you keep it in the coat closet or in the drawer of the entry table at the front door. When you even begin to walk towards that area of your home, they begin to anticipate the next move. They may already start to show excitement and begin to prepare themselves for a walk. Canine hierarchy. Alpha and beta roles, dominant, submissive, are absolutely a factor with canine behavior and where they position themselves within their pack or the family unit. This could also be known as hierarchy. Dominant behavior for pet dogs looks a lot different from that of which displayed by wolves, but our modern canine companions still follow the same framework for their social hierarchy. Becoming more familiar with canine body language will allow you to spot this behavior more easily, but some things are more obvious than slight changes in posture. Some examples of this: the alpha dog will break through thresholds before the rest of their pack. They will eat before the rest of their pack. They get first dibs of preferred toys. They hold higher elevation. If you live with multiple dogs, you can see this manifest as the more dominant dog holding a higher position, such as sitting on the couch, while the others sit on the floor. Primary reinforcers. Dogs have 4 primary reinforcers that influence their behavior and are absolutely necessary for their survival: food, water, mating, and air. Now, as pet owners, we may not be too concerned about their ability to mate. Leave that to the breeders. That's not our job. Air is obviously readily available. Well, I hope it is. If it's not, you might want to find a different living environment. But our dogs look to us to fill their bowls with food and water. We can take advantage of these needs and use them as motivators to produce specific desired behaviors from our dogs. Food can be used to influence your dog's behavior. We can also use it to make positive associations with people, places, sounds, and surfaces. The list could truly go on forever. Consider using your dog's meals as training treats, and we absolutely will in this training course. You're going to learn about that in Private Lesson 1. When we don't feed them a freebie meal from a silver platter, our dogs are willing to work for their food, just like us humans. Now, this is very important to note. We should never use water as a motivation for our dogs. Water should be readily accessible to our dogs at all possible times. Now back to air. Air is obviously not provided by us. But when a dog becomes reactive and a possible danger to dogs and people around them, air can surely be controlled. You're going to learn more about slip leashes and slip collars in future lessons, and they were initially designed to be great for defensive handling and stopping a dog from reacting towards their trigger, our dog's drives. Speaking of influencing behavior, let's talk about what drives our dogs, or at least the ones that are helpful not only during training, but when living with a dog in general. Prey drive, or hunting drive. Your dog sees a squirrel and can't help but bolt after it. You can thank prey drive for that. It takes a lot of training to help your dog develop the skills required to fight their impulses with this one. Play drive. Dogs are extremely social creatures. Play is an important part of that, and providing that for our dogs enriches their lives and our bonds. During the course of my career, I have learned that this is by far one of the most valuable ways. Not only has it been effective for my clients and their dogs, but I've most definitely seen the evidence of how it improves the lives of my personal dogs, Chloe and Shiloh, and the impact on our relationship. Pack drive. Again, they're social. They want to successfully integrate and belong to a pack or a family. We can even use our presence as a reward. Fulfillment. Our dogs require 3 things to live a fulfilled life: physical stimulation, mental stimulation, and my favorite, clear communication. Physical stimulation. Ensuring our dogs are being provided ample opportunity to exercise is usually the first responsibility that owners focus on. Many of us take action and bring our dogs out for walks, runs, swims, etc. We play fetch to help alleviate some of this pent-up energy that they've accumulated while we've been away at work all day. These activities are an important part in our efforts to give back to them, but it's not the only thing we need to keep in mind for our daily routines. Enter mental stimulation. This is typically overshadowed by physical stimulation, allowing our dogs to politely sniff a scent trail down the sidewalk during our morning-evening walks, interactive puzzle toys with proper supervision, even giving your dog one of their trained commands, such as place, and having them complete the desired behavior and stay there. These are all examples of great ways to mentally stimulate your dog. Clear communication. This is the final requirement as well as most often overlooked. Our dogs require us to be able to clearly communicate with them in order to fully understand the rules of their environment. This not only includes our tone of voice and our body language, but also the consistent implementation of rules and consequence. Consistency is key, and you're going to hear me say that over and over during this course. And it will help your dog develop decision-making skills, impulse control, and give them a clear image of what they contribute to the family unit. Clear communication is exactly what your dog requires in order to successfully integrate into our homes and our society. You have to keep in mind that we live in a society created by humans for humans, and we are inviting these animals to live amongst us. The lifestyles that we require them to fit into is very unnatural for them. So it is 100% your responsibility to ensure your dog successfully integrates into our human society. Obedience training is a great method to build structure, helping you and your dog develop the skill of communicating with each other, but this is not the only thing that is required, and you'll learn more about that in the future. What are some of the languages we teach our dogs? Verbal cues. Marker words such as yes, good, and free, and command cues such as sit, down, and leave it. You'll learn more about that. Leash pressure. We teach our dogs to dismiss the opposition reflex. Think of it like this. I walk up to you and shove you. Instead of just letting yourself fall backwards onto your head, you are going to oppose that pressure and lean into it. That's how you can view opposition reflex. And that is why your dog doesn't mind pulling endlessly at the end of the leash. We show them to give in to leash pressure rather than pull against it. Training tools. We train with positive reinforcement, but we also need to ensure that we maintain a level of compliance with our dogs. We want them to want to work with us. But just like any other living creature, they'll blow off their leader at some point or another. Collars such as prongs, slips, and stim collars allow us to communicate this. It also gives a clear communication to our dogs when they aren't behaving in an acceptable manner. Note: training collars should not be employed for punishment until the dog fully understands the behavior or task that is expected of them. Body pressure. Our dogs are very sensitive to our body language and the spatial pressure we impose on them. We teach them how to translate our movements and move with us accordingly. Body language or cues. Again, dogs are super social. They may growl, bark, whine, and snarl, but their primary means of communication is with body language. This is by far. This is closely related to body pressure, but this is more along the lines of the physical cues we use while teaching a dog a behavior, such as lifting your hand when giving the sit command. Basic learning and training. Dogs are contextual learners. Dogs learn in pictures. If your dog learns to sit from the position of standing in front of you, face to face, then if you tell them to sit while they are standing by your side, they will swing their butt around and sit in front of you. This is because dogs learn in pictures. Think of it like a camera snapping a picture. If your dog is performing well at home, they may not perform well in other places when first being introduced. This is because the picture is different. When your dog is proficient with the sit command at home and you're introducing them to a new area, reintroduce the sit command with luring to show them that sit means sit everywhere. This is why we won't simply move into corrections while introducing a dog to a new environment. Just because the dog knows a command at home doesn't mean it's going to immediately click for him in a new location. Help guide your dog in every new area. Dogs need 3 things in place to learn: timing, consistency, and motivation. Timing. Dogs have an average short-term memory of 1.3 seconds. The phrase, catch the dog in the act, 100% true. If a lot of time has passed and a lot has happened between the undesirable behavior and the moment they got caught, then your dog isn't sure what they're being punished for and may believe they're being punished for something totally unrelated. Catching your dog in the act the first time helps decrease likelihood of them trying again in the future. If they successfully act inappropriately out of your presence, they understand they can't do that while you're here. Number 2, consistency. This is one of the most important components to achieve clear communication with your dog. Example, dogs knowing the word walk. You ask, you want to go for a walk? And your dog gets excited. This is because they've made associations with that word and they know what comes next. They even run to the same door that you guys exit to begin your walk. If you were to change the door you exit from, they would be confused and continue trying to go towards the door they usually exit from. Don't say a command unless you are in a position and capable of holding them accountable to the command. Example, if you attempt to give your dog a command with your hands full of groceries and they don't do it, you're not in a position to hold them accountable. As a result, they see that they don't have to listen to you when your hands are full. 3. Motivation. Rewards, alleviating pressure, and avoiding corrections are all examples of motivation. Being the leader your dog needs. If your dog believes you are the leader of the pack, you'll know. If they believe they are the leader of the pack, you'll know. It will be clearly visible within their behavior. A dog that believes they are in control will be testing your boundaries to the max. They may not even believe you have boundaries, and if you do, they don't believe they apply to them. This probably sounds familiar to a lot of you. In order for our dogs to follow us, we need to show them that they can trust us and we need to earn their respect. Trust is what allows the dog to understand they can count on us, that they can rely on us to take care of them. Respect. Every healthy relationship you have in your life includes boundaries. This is also a requirement for a healthy relationship with our dogs. Respect draws these boundaries for our dogs and dictates the social hierarchy in their home. It's an acknowledgement of our position and boundaries. I want to add something here. Taking your dog and forcing them on their back or alpha rolling them until they submit, that's not a requirement to get your dog to respect you or accept you as their leader. In fact, it's only going to cause damage to the relationship. It is not successfully earning their respect like many people think it does. It's important to note that respect doesn't transfer person to person. If your dog understands and respects your boundaries, it doesn't mean they will apply the same boundaries to every member of the family. It is up to each individual to set and enforce their boundaries. The more uniform and consistent the family is with their boundaries, the easier it is for the dog to understand and respect each member's rules. Being a leader is a stressful job for our dogs. When they try to fill this role, it creates a myriad of behavior annoyances and issues to include anxiety, neurotic behaviors, aggression, resource guarding, and much more. Protecting the house from the mailman, ensuring nobody hurts mom or dad during walks. That's a lot of responsibility for a dog. As dog owners, we will clearly show them that this is a role to be filled by us. No confusion. It's our job as the owner, not yours as the dog. A dog wants a leader that is cool, calm, and collected, not an emotional wild card. Dogs don't need to be held down and forced to submit simply because they didn't stop barking out the window when you initially told them to. They need us to guide them in our world. We cannot afford to be emotional when their success depends on our leadership abilities. Throughout your time with HG Canine, you will be given ample guidance and instruction to be the best leader for your dog that you can possibly be. 10 signs that your dog doesn't see you as the leader. 1. Ignoring commands. If your dog consistently ignores your commands, it may indicate a lack of respect or recognition of you as the leader. Number 2. Pulling on the leash. Dogs that lead during walks by pulling on the leash may view themselves as the pack leader. 3. Jumping on furniture without permission, especially when they don't get off when you tell them to. 4. Resource guarding. If your dog becomes possessive or aggressive over toys, food, or other resources, it may signal a lack of trust in your leadership. 5. Not waiting for permission. Dogs that don't wait for your signal before going through doors or approaching people might not recognize your authority. This brings up an important point. Many people believe they need to go through thresholds before their dog. The threshold is a physical boundary. The front door, the entry to the kitchen, the car door, etc. HG Canine does not believe this to be true. The only thing that actually matters is your dog waits for you to give them permission to cross that threshold. Now, of course, if you open the front door and they bolt out of it immediately, that's extremely inappropriate and very dangerous. It is absolutely fine if they go through before you as long as they wait for your permission. Number 6, excessive barking. Constant barking, especially when unprovoked, can be a sign that your dog feels the need to establish control, but this can also be a sign of extreme boredom and you need to stimulate your dog more. 7, lack of eye contact. Avoidance or lack of direct eye contact may suggest your dog doesn't see you as a leader. This can also be a submissive behavior, so there's a lot of nuance to this one. 8, pushy behavior. Dogs that push their way through doors or into spaces without regard for your presence may be challenging your authority. 9, nipping or biting. Aggressive behavior including nipping or biting can be a sign that your dog is challenging your leadership. 10, overly excitable behavior. Dogs that are overly excitable and difficult to calm down may not be looking to you for guidance and control. 5 examples of ways to show your dog that you are their leader. 1, consistent training. Establish a routine for training sessions using consistent commands and rewarding desired behavior. This helps your dog understand your expectations and reinforces your role as their leader. I apologize, I'm fostering a dog at the moment and we're working on crate training, so you're probably going to hear her shuffle around in there a little bit. Number 2, positive reinforcement. Reward good behavior with treats, praise, or playtime. Positive reinforcements creates a positive association with your leadership and encourages your dog to follow your guidance. 3, set boundaries. Clearly define rules and boundaries for your dog. This includes restrictions on furniture, designated areas, and appropriate behavior. Consistency in enforcing these boundaries reinforces your leadership. 4, control resources. Take control of valuable resources like food, toys, and attention. Make your dog wait for permission before accessing these resources, reinforcing that you control and distribute them. 5, initiate and end play. As the leader, take the initiative in starting and ending playtime. This reinforces your role as the one who directs activities and sets the tone for interactions with your dog.